We are back for another edition of the Rouge Radio podcast, episode 452, powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. And we're just going to go way past the bantering, and we're going to talk about a weird stat. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are 0-2 when Tony Allen is visiting Mosaic Stadium. Tony, do you want...
I didn't text you that, but that is absolutely what I thought on the way home from the game. Like, the Riders are now a perfect 0-2 when I go to games. And were they both in September? Am I the reason the Riders are tanking in September?
I don't know. I don't want to go that far.
I think the other game was the September 9th.
No, it would have been in August because it was before Labor Day.
Oh, the 19th.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, that sucks.
And our good friend Dave is not going to. He's not going to be happy with you that you didn't remember the date that he took you to the game where you got chirped by an 11-year-old girl.
That's right. Oh well, he took someone else. He took a different boy to the game. So, although I did get better seats the next time around. So,
was your second trip to New Mosaic better than the last?
Not from the awe perspective. Like, I had been there once, so a lot of the awe had worn off, but now my seats I was in the end zone, like behind the end zone, and row 5. So I was super close to the field. I just didn't really see anything at the opposite end of the field. And you just end up watching the Jumbotron instead of what's happening. So I paid $45 to spend 30 minutes of the game just watching it on TV.
I never thought about that. Okay, so hopefully you kind of froze up there a little bit. Yeah. All right, there you go. The Regina internet is back.
Yeah. And I'm in an Airbnb, which is new to me. Same Airbnb as last time. Internet's not as strong right now, but I did get to meet Joe Belansky, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
Because it drives him nuts. But so I got to meet him. I tell you know what? I think he plays a character on the internet. It's just when I met him, he was so different than his Twitter accounts. I'm like, you know what? I think he might play that up on the internet. Joe is not the same person on the internet as he is in real life. That was shocking.
Wait, that's breaking news. We need a breaking news sound effect. That person on the internet is not the same in real life.
What's the point?
That seems like something that you can go on CNN to learn. Obviously, we're going to go directly into our week 6. What is it, week 16? Holy crap. Week 16 predictions. And as you can tell by not now, but there it is at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this live, our little partnership with Sports Interaction, saa.com/rouge, your first deposit for the month of September. You've got 9 days. 9 days left. We're recording this September 21st. 9 days left. Your first deposit will be matched up to 100%, up to $500. That is great. Or is it 250? I can't remember, but predominantly that is for the month of September, just because of the NFL starting. Have you caught any NFL games?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I might once this is over, I might take a solid shot at it because, with Sports Interaction, I might want to try my hand at some NFL gambling. But I'm enjoying the season right now, and it's all good.
I made a good $40 on a $2 risk on a parlay. So that's less risk, but got it decent on the what game was it? Oh, it doesn't matter. This is the CFL podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about things that are trending.
I just want to know why my beard is so much grayer than yours. We're not that different in age. Do you just for men?
No, I just trim a lot more than you do, probably.
There you go.
I don't know. Let's go to what's trending here this week. Big melee happening outside of McMahon Stadium. I don't know how much of you caught this. The chronological, I may have gotten the chronological events this completely wrong, but what happened was apparently, allegedly, Lucky Whitehead had said some reputable, I don't know, things that cannot be repeated here on this podcast about the family member of Cameron Judge. Judge took that so personal that I guess after the game, a couple of the BC Lions had approached the Stampeders outside their locker room, which is in bad taste, and Judge took a swipe at him. And Judge has now been suspended. Now, again, chronologically, I may have gotten those facts incorrect. There's just there seems to be a lot more missing in a story that should be bigger.
Yeah.
And of course, as it goes, it centers around the Saskatchewan Roughriders. TSN's Facebook article posted this story, and it said, Stampeders Judge suspended for one game. And I guess they don't have a lot of stock photos of Cameron Judge, so they posted a picture of him in his Rider jersey from 2018. This is 2022. I know this is your like clickbait. You wanted, you think that you're going to get a little bit more traffic on your site by politicizing the Riders, but geez, this is a bad look for TSN, or at least the TSN version on Facebook. But first up, I want to get your thought about this.
I don't know. It's so weird that things like this, like just the weirdest scenarios are coming up this season. I don't know what it is. We feel we need extra drama. And I mean, you're under the impression that talk like that happens all the time during a game. So what happens that you need to cross over into the personal side of things? And I don't mean the comments that were made, like actually wanting to confront people face to face when the game is over. Like, I don't understand. I've never played football at the highest level, but you hear that things are said and then it's left on the field. So I don't want to know what's happening, because comments that would lead to that don't deserve airtime or recognition. But I don't know what line could have been crossed that this time they would want to be confronted outside of the boundaries of the game.
I know that we promised last week we weren't going to talk about Garrett Marino, and I'm not going to bring him up for the purpose of talking about Garrett Marino. But remember that Ottawa game? Nate Behar had made comments that day that Garrett Marino had made some kind of racial comments or heritage comments. Mm-hmm. That day, we still haven't heard what Lucky Whitehead had said. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm thinking that if it was disparaging or bad, it would be, we would have some semblance of what was said, in my opinion. So it's really hard to take this seriously, because as I said on Twitter a couple of days ago, it's hard to believe that Lucky Whitehead, a character that he is, would go so low to make a comment that would result in a guy like Cameron Judge to retaliate with physical violence. And at the same time, Cameron Judge doesn't strike me as a guy that's thin-skinned. Right?
No.
And
I mean, Lucky Whitehead is definitely very vocal and active on social media. So it's not out of the spectrum that he would do something to catch attention, because he's always commenting on everything. I don't know how he finds it, but he is very vocal on it.
Yeah.
But again, he never seems to be hateful towards anyone. And most of his social commentary seem to be positive. So, like you said, this one, there's a lot of mystery around what would cause it to deteriorate that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that. I mean, let's bring it down to a personal level here. Let's say that Tony Allen is predicting a game, and he says, "I think the Ottawa Red Blacks are going to win at home, and I just had sex with your wife, Daltz." And then there's two ways that I could respond to that. There's a response that I could be like, "Well, I'll make some kind of classic Seinfeld reference, response to that, because." If you didn't get it, the had sex with your wife thing was from the Jerk Store episode of Seinfeld. And the second option is I could do is leave the just drop off the podcast, because it's if I really took offense to it, just drop off, dial tone. If I really overreacted, I would be like, okay, I don't agree with that, Tony. And then after the podcast, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to westjet.com, plan a trip to Calgary because it doesn't fly to Medicine Hat. Go to rent a car through Dollar, whatever I'm putting on a plug for these airlines and rent a cars. Going to drive all the way to Medicine Hat outside your address, and then wait till you get up in the morning. And then once you open the door to go to work, just let you have it. And then say, that's for saying something. It just, a lot of this doesn't make sense. And I know I just kind of just went the mature route with that analogy, or the immature route with that analogy. It just seems that we're missing something. And because the reaction and what was said, or like I said on Twitter, it's family stuff. I think is off limits to me. I don't know. Like, it's different to be like, yeah, I left your mom at home while I decided to score this touchdown or what have you, or you make a comment about, I don't know, your game like that. I think that's fair. I think that's kind of maybe sophomoric, but it's not like once you start going into the immediate family, like siblings, children. Yeah, I think that's crossing the line. But at the same time, it's Lucky Whitehead doesn't appear to be a guy that would make any disparaging comments, and Cameron Judge doesn't seem like a guy that would react to something that everybody hears on the field all the time. It just, something doesn't click to me. Go on to the next one. And again, I don't want this to centralize around the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but it does. So Craig Dickinson was quoted as saying that, well, I'll be honest, we're not very good. And I thought that was, okay, it's good that he's being a little bit honest. But on Instagram, where this was posted, Shaq Cooper, who's not on the team anymore, said, and he quote, "Come on, coach. Nick Marshall under 3IG. That's Nick Marshall. This crap is weird." And he's not really saying the swear word, but I'm not really going off and on either way. Says that's weird as you know what, but telling us something different in our face, but get in the media and say this crap. There is some huge issues in that locker room. I don't want to say that he's lost a room, because I don't think he's lost a room, but there are some Easter eggs along this season that would tell me that Craig Dickinson is not head coach material.
No.
Your thought. Because you made a comment about Cody Fajardo on Twitter about a comment that was done through 3 Down Nations about it's something that we've talked about before this season, saying about the woe is me, everybody's against us kind of mentality.
Especially a guy that's supposed to be such this great leader and such a soft-spoken guy and such a great human being, to be playing excuses all year, and for him to say, it feels like he heard the boos. Oh, poor Cody Fajardo heard boos, so now it's the world against us. It's like, no, you're just not very good. And we're acknowledging that you're not very good. The world isn't against you, but we're not going to pretend you're good, because you're not. And honestly, like, Fajardo played well in that game, but honestly, if he couldn't scramble, Saskatchewan's even worse than they are. Like, a lot of that game was him just being able to, find some room. But I mean, they just got beaten straight up by the Elks. Like, there's no excuses. Like, every team has injuries. There's, there'll be people on my Twitter that say, well, we have you trying to do this without offensive linemen and blah, blah, blah. It's like, cry me a river. What team doesn't have injuries? What team isn't overcoming injuries at some point in the season? At some point, Saskatchewan's got to stop complaining about who's not there. And the people in those positions are your starters. And if they're your starter, you're not a good football team. Mm-hmm. We're not going to judge you based on what you would be like if those guys were still there. We have to judge you on what we see on the field, and you're not good.
You couldn't have said it better myself. And it's,
there was a guy that was sitting a section over me right at the front, and the entire fourth quarter, like literally in the second the fourth quarter, this guy is screaming at Fajardo, throw the football, throw the football, throw the effing football. The second the whistle blows to start the play to when the ball is snapped, all you could hear is throw the football, throw the effing football. And of course, he'd get sacked or throw it away. They'd reset, throw the football, throw the football. And I just wanted to scream, he can't throw the football. No one is open. That's why he keeps getting sacked, you stupid. Like, oh, it was brutal. And then at the very, like, I thought you were supposed to be the best fans in the world, and you can't see what everybody else in the country can see is that Fajardo just has no one to, because Edmonton is playing good defense. And then when they finally turned it over on downs, he rips off his jersey, throws it on the ground. His Riders jersey just throws it on the ground. I'm like, unbelievable. I am definitely not going to judge Riders fans on this guy because he is clearly just an idiot that doesn't know anything about football, and it rides the Rider fan reputation through life.
Oh, geez. And it's just, it makes for their post game call-in shows very entertaining. I can tell you that much because there's two call-in shows. There's CKRM, which is the voice of the Riders. You get some people who maybe are admitting that the Riders aren't a good team, but they don't want anybody to pile on, right? So that's just kind of radio broadcast rights kind of regulations, internal regulations. Then you get CJME, a good friend of the program that we've had on our show, Jamie and I, who are like, yeah, this team sucks. Yeah. And every time I listen to that post-game show after, I always get the, because we're all Simpsons fans, I always get that Simpsons episode in my head. Yeah, Mo, that team sure sucked last night. Yeah, I've seen teams sucked, but they were the suckiest sucks that ever sucked.
I just think of Nelson Muntz heckling Principal Skinner. How come you always run out of detention? So how come you suck? I lack self-confidence. That's the Riders. We lack self-confidence.
All right, so we're going to go to Week 16 predictions. But before that, speaking of the Riders game,
I can't hear anything, but I'm sure it's coming.
All right, let's get to your decision of this week's Magnificent Bastard.
And this was someone I actually texted you about at the game because it's like, have I been living under a rock? Or can this guy, has he been able to scramble like this his whole career? And I don't know if I just paid more attention to him because it was live, and maybe when I watch him on TV, I'm not interested in the Elks drive. I'm more interested in a Stampeder drive or something. But watching Tyler Cornelius just like, he didn't even scramble. He was styling on that secondary when he get to the sidelines and cut back in, and a Rider defender would just fly right back at him. He was just making guys look like idiots, and I couldn't believe, like, you know what? Being a Stampeders fan, you're not supposed to pump Elks tires, but I was just in awe. Like, when this guy wants to juke you out of your pants, he's going to do it. Like, there was at least 2 plays I remember guaranteed, like, he undressed those guys like a drunken prom date. Like, he just right by them. It was unbelievable. For that reason of putting on a show, and I think your response to the text was, I think Saskatchewan's helping, but yes, he could always scramble. So for that, and just putting on a show, Tyler Cornelius, you magnificent bastard.
And there we go. All right.
Actually,
let's get.
I wanted to show you from the Riders game, and I forgot to have it beside me. I don't know if I can turn my camera off or slowly step away and maybe no one will notice. But it was so sweet. I had to have a souvenir from my time in Regina. It was expensive, I'm not going to lie. But I bought this beauty. Look at that.
Oh, nice. Oh.
I wore it to the
Cup
game.
Now, you're in Alberta. Well,
Yeah.
not now, but you're from Alberta. You bought that from a Saskatchewan store.
Yeah.
So is that a hoodie or a bunny hug?
Oh, it's a hoodie.
Okay.
I would have slapped that. I would have slapped.
All right, let's get to Week 16 predictions. It's the bottom of the program, bottom of the screen. Week 16 starts off in Montreal. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, fresh off an amazing 17-point beatdown of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, going into Montreal. Montreal's favored by 2.5 points. The over/under set at 52 points. Some injury reports out of Montreal. We've got Patrick Davis, Marc-Antoine Decoy, who is actually ruled out, but it's non-football related. That would be the only one. Are you laughing at that, or is that
No,
just
I'm
there?
coughing.
Oh, okay.
Bad cold. I apologize. All the noises.
Dylan Wynn for the Hamilton Tiger Cats is ruled out already. Lamar Durant doubtful, and Tunde Adeleke is questionable at best. I'll let you talk about this. Montreal 2.5 points fresh off the bye. I will probably venture a guess for you, because I remember there was a game earlier that you said that Hamilton's going to come out and they're going to be like, this is the team that everybody expects Hamilton to be like. And then they're going to fall flat on their face. And it ends up that they never got that win. And then they kept on losing.
Yeah.
Is this game against Winnipeg that game? And are they going to fall on their face against the Montreal Alouettes?
It is tough because I can't support either of these teams' ability to be consistently good. Like, Hamilton beating Winnipeg wasn't a message to anyone. It was a fluke. I don't think, if you think Hamilton has turned the corner, that was a statement game. I don't think so. Just those games happen. And I don't think they ran up the score. Winnipeg looked disorganized. They couldn't get anything going. I actually had to listen to that game on the radio while I was at work. And poor Derek Taylor, like, he was announcing Tiger Cats touchdowns and field goals like he was just reading something out of the phone book. You know, it was like by the third quarter, Derek Taylor's like, here's the snap. Dane Evans hands it off. He's going to pick up 10 yards. He's across and a touchdown for the Tiger Cats. So now that's going to make, like, that was literally the play-by-play from Derek Taylor, which I'm not doing that to bag on him, but you could tell how bad Winnipeg was playing, that he wasn't even trying to call the game anymore. So I think Winnipeg just laid an egg more than Hamilton sent a message or Dane Evans proved he's back. I don't buy anything that people are going to want to sell in the Tiger Cats. I just think Montreal is more unreliable. And I was actually surprised to see that Montreal is favored in this game. And because I wouldn't pick them. I would pick Hamilton in this one, to be honest with you. But I don't think this isn't a stepping stone for the Montreal or for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but I am probably going to take the Tiger Cats in this one.
I would venture to agree with you with the injury concerns. Montreal is just like an inconsistent team. What do you got in the over/under 52?
I can't see that happening again. Tiger Cats spent everything against the Blue Bombers, so I'm going to take the under on 52 points.
Yeah, and Trevor Harris going for field goals. Dane Evans, yeah, it's like just kind of like shooting your shot the week before. Give them all the credit. I think I think they were due for that, and they won that game last week. But I just don't think Hamilton's the type of team that would pull off that kind of action 2 games in a row.
You can't tell that's the Tiger Cats team that's been hiding for 15 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Up and is going to be perfect. Going to go run the table for the last 6 weeks doing that. I don't believe it for a second. That's spoken me.
Definitely. Like if Hamilton had done that in week 3, maybe we're telling a different story, right? Like if we saw that game in week 3 against Winnipeg, then we're probably okay. You don't go dormant for 15 weeks with a couple of buys mixed in there and all of a sudden convince people that you're a different team. You are who you are.
Yeah. When Hamilton is only getting the benefit from me on this one because there's only two teams I would have picked for Hamilton to be able to win back to back. It's Montreal, and the other one probably would have been Ottawa. If this was Toronto, I'm taking Toronto in this football game. That's how least convinced I am that Hamilton is turning the corner.
Yeah. I echo your sentiments on that one. Doubleheader on Saturday. The Toronto Argonauts are in Ottawa. Toronto's favored by 2.5 points, which seems legit because of the fact that Ottawa can't win at home. Over-unders at 46.5. RJ Harris has a hip injury, but he has practiced full. Randy Richards has a calf injury, did not participate on Wednesday or earlier today. Same with Darius Sirach, who was limited today. On the Toronto side of things, Shane Ray has a knee injury, but he is practicing. The only one that's kind of limited or questioned is Enoch Muamba, but I'm guessing with his abdomen, he's got abdomen issues, but I'm guessing that he will be a game time decision. And as you talked about Montreal and Hamilton, I'm thinking Toronto pulls this out only because it's Ottawa, right? It's just kind of things that Toronto covers that spread, probably not by a lot. 2.5 is kind of really being very favorable to Ottawa. And at the same time, I think special teams might kick in for Ottawa. I'm actually going to be suggesting that they hit the over.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to probably, I think Ottawa's offense is going to be primarily by special teams, field goal with the odd touchdown. Whereas Toronto, defensively, they're going to pick apart Nick Arbuckle, and it's just going. It might be a little bit over. I say like a 10-point swing somewhere in the after halftime, but that's my guess. It's going to be the over where Toronto comfortably covers that spread. I'm guessing by that comment you kind of disagree.
Well, I only disagree just on the over and under. Like I'm not going to comment on the point spreads. Toronto winning. I agree with you. I think you nailed that. The only thing is, I think the bulk of those 46.5, 47 points essentially will have to come from the Argonauts. So unless this is a big blowout by Toronto of at least like 30 points, I'm going to say Toronto would have to carry of that, maybe more. I don't know if I like Toronto that much. That's the only where I would think along that. Other than that, I think you nailed that prediction.
Rematch of the Malee in McMahon. I'm trying to think of like a big, a hashtag to make that trend. The Calgary Stampeders go back for the second half of the home and home series with the BC Lions. As we get that on the screen, Calgary, BC is favored by 1 point, and the over-under is 54.5. That's tempting to take BC, and normally I would have been, or actually tempting to take Calgary. But then when you look at the depth charts, the injury reports, we know Cameron Judge is not playing. He's not going to appeal. Then you got Brendan Dozier, who's questionable for the game. You look at the BC Lions, there's their depth chart. Delvin Breaux Sr. is out. Suk Chung is out. TJ Lee obviously is still out. Michael O'Connor is limited. There's not a big injury that really screams out that BC can't win this one at home. I would be tempted to make BC cover that spread with the points. I don't see Calgary scoring that much points to take the over. Like we saw the overtime, and it really wasn't that much, and it kind of barely even got close to that point total. I'll let you go in depth on that. I like BC in this one.
And you're taking the under?
I would take the under.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I still think it's a close game. I just want to that makes my beard stroke while I've got a beard. But only because my wife's going to make me shave it off tomorrow when I get home. So just enjoying the beard. But I still think this one is pretty close, and it's the inconsistency of Vernon Adams. And it's for someone who's pumped his tires. Gosh, it seems like 5 years I've been pumping this guy's tires.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd almost expect my room to be full of Vernon Adams Jr. jerseys the way I talk about this guy. But I mean, I can't ignore that he just isn't a consistent quarterback. Like, I'm not saying he's going to go out and lay an egg, but if we can, maybe that belongs to Henry Burris, good and bad. But whatever we can, something similar for Vernon Adams, I think along that line, like, we can see a successful Vernon Adams and a not successful, or an effective Vernon Adams and a non-effective Vernon Adams. And it's easily he can disappear in this football game as much as he shone the previous week, or however this football game goes. It's close. I even think like that one point is still pretty tight, right? Like, I don't know if you can call ties on this one and make huge bank on this one, because some have 3 points or less, but I don't think I've seen that on Sports Connection. But this one's going to be close, I think, again. And I like the under as well. This one might clamp up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be like air it out as much as you might think. But I think I want to take Calgary in this one, just because of home and homes, two teams playing each other, more tape, less ability to surprise each other, and you might be able to match BC a little bit better on the field. So I'm going to say, what the heck, I'm going to take Calgary in that one. As small of a dog as they are, I'm still going to take them.
That's not a bad that's not a bad pick, to be honest with you, because you look at what Vernon Adams did last week. 78.1 completion percentage, 294 yards. Awesome. No interceptions, but no touchdowns. A lot of the damage through in the end zone was on the ground. He ran for 32 yards. His longest was 15. But James Butler with a couple of touchdowns, and Pipkin with the sneak. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that Calgary can win this one, by also saying that Vernon Adams is not going to be the reason why BC loses, right? I mean, it's a very possible.
Yeah.
Tony, I think this might be the shortest episode that we've ever done.
That's good, because I'm going to pass out here in a second from it. Well, I've been taking it since we started, so.
That's a lot of people said that they faked it with me. So. Oh, that's right. We went there. I apologize. Everybody's now going to have a bad visual. Yeah. Well, that'll wrap it up for episode 452 of the Rouge Radio podcast, powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. Like I said, my name is Robert Dahl. You can follow me on Twitter at Rouge Daltz, Tony at Tony Rouge, and of course our podcast is available at Rouge Radio. You can email us at thenewrouge@gmail.com. Like us and
emails. We love ignoring emails.
Yeah, we do have emails, but we just can never find time at thenewrouge@gmail.com. And of course, we do have some content available on YouTube. For Tony, I'm Daltz. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.